Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. I've just allowed the chat window to open. So if you're watching, type a message on there and let me know that you can hear me all right. Just let everybody know. Thank you, Carrie. I was hoping someone would tell me you can hear me. There was silence for a minute. I wasn't sure. Okay, I'll just type the message that I've gone live. Great, excellent. Okay, I think I've got everything set up. Mission control is hopefully under control for the moment. So, lots of people from all over. New York State, New York City, Sarasota, Florida. I think that is Oregon. Diane's just barely on vacation. That's good. Last Friday, so that's cool. Glass of wine for you while you're watching, hopefully. Teresa's in Texas. We've got Victoria. Hello. Tina's in East Greenbush. 2 more days of school. 2 more days. Okay, till the end of the week. Yep, got it. Diana, good morning from Melbourne. And hello, yes, from Melbourne from me as well. Not too bad weather today, right? It's been we're in the middle of winter now. Well, not the middle. We're in winter in Melbourne, and it gets quite cold. But the last couple of days have been fairly mild for Melbourne weather, so that's nice. Because I've started talking, the dog's decided to get up. She's making a little. She's doing photo bombing here in the background. Where is she? Oh, there. I always moved the wrong way in the video window. Ella, come over. Come over here. No, stay here. Good girl. Here she is. Good girl. Excellent. Someone from the Sunshine Coast. How nice. St. Louis. June 26th is the last day for you. Lieben. I'm not sure how you say that. Sorry. That's quite late if you're in the States, isn't it? I think. The dog, honestly. Rachel, all I'm hearing is a click when a new message comes on. Oh, let me see if I don't know if that's at your end, but I will just double check my end, Rachel, about. Okay, thank you. Martin's just answered that question. I should just not talk because Martin will get onto it. Martin Emo is here today, helping me to moderate the chat window, which is brilliant because when the webinars are so big, it's impossible for me to do all the things. Lots of people saying their last day is later than I thought. I thought most of you are finished, but some are finishing up on June 30th. That seems really late. Wow. Hopefully you go back late as well, like September or so. Nancy had 65 degrees today. High as a high. Yeah, that's not so warm, right? I work in Celsius, so I struggle a little bit translating to Fahrenheit. Hello to Carrie. I think I said hello. Hello to Carrie again. Julia, Judith, Amanda. Kate, I'm looking to the side because that's where my other little window is here. Hello to Sydney from Indiana. Lauric or Laura K, one or the other. Rachel. Elise is on the YouTube chat page, which is great, and from Las Vegas. How lovely. Hi, Kelly. Kelly, did you sing in the latest a cappella video? I didn't get I just couldn't do it. I did not get time. I gave up. I was in and then I just went, nah, it's all too hard. With preparing for this webinar and for a new course that I'm launching basically today, it just wasn't going to happen. It was very optimistic of me. Angie, I'm excited for another webinar too, and thank you. That's lovely. Oh, you didn't make it, Kelly. Okay, yep. Next time. Carolyn's got a gorgeous night in Cincinnati. How lovely. Hello from Pennsylvania. Donna Sue. Excellent. And Deb, got to keep an eye on the time. Otherwise, I'll just chat generally for the rest of the hour. No, not really. And Ella really wants attention, actually, at this time of the day. So her body clock is just totally set to set times, and she always wants something around now. So there you go. Lucky I have ammunition for her. And I've just realized I'm going to have to get up and let her out. So hold on for a second. I'm going to be back. Martin will chat in the chat window for a sec. There we go. I had to open the door. I have a checklist of things that I do before she gets before I get going, so that she's amused. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, have this. Nope. Good morning to Margaret, Cynthia, Yvonne, Leanne, Julianne, Patty, Catherine, Mary, Kelly. Kelly's from 3 places. I guess you're teaching in those 3 places: Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, and it slipped out of you. Too many other messages came through. It's yesterday here for you. Yeah, it is, Dino. I'm in the future. That's what I always say. Good morning, Sean and Amanda and Tammy and Dawn. Thanks, Dawn. I'm glad you've learnt so much from the webinars. I've actually found them really fun. I feel like it's been a different kind of time and thing, which it has. And it's been really nice. It's I know I recognise a lot of faces each time I do the webinars, or faces, names I should say, in the chat window. So I know a lot of you are joining in each month, which is commitment and very exciting. And just so that you know, if you're listening and you haven't logged into the chat window, at some point it is going to probably reach its maximum point, which is 500 people. There are currently 245 logged into the chat window. We have a maximum of 500. And if you can't get into the chat window, do not stress too much. You can just watch if you want to. That's totally fine. And the other thing is, if it does max out and you do want to type comments in during the session, you can actually go over to the YouTube video on YouTube itself and watch there, and you can actually type in the comments there too. So either way. And yeah, so if you're not already logged into the chat window, just click on the login options. So you can either log in with Facebook, Twitter, or as a guest. If you log in as a guest, you can actually change your name. If you do that before you hit the submit button, you can actually change the default guest name to something else, i.e. your name, if you would like to. Jen Jenkins is here from Central New Jersey. Hello. Jen left me a lovely video message inside my community the other day. I was so happy. I leave video messages for people inside my community all the time, and I got one back from Jen, so that was nice. Thank you. Excellent. Yeah, the chat window's filling up really fast, but yeah, as I said, don't worry if you don't get into the chat window. It just means you can't type in something during the session itself. And you'll find that people will come and go a little bit during the webinar. So if a spot frees up, you can log in later on. It's a little bit like a 1 in, 1 out at a nightclub sort of thing. Anyway, which is basically how our cafes are working out here at the moment. Becky's in Central Jersey too. Excellent. Hello to everyone else. Oh, Shauna's here. How are you, Shauna? Shauna's a rock star. She's been doing great things. All right, going to get started in a couple of minutes. Oh, all the people from Central New Jersey. Shauna's in New Jersey too, right? Right, Shauna? Did I get that right? I miss you too. Yeah, I wanted to get back to TMEA next year, the Texas Music Educators Association conference, but that's not happening. That's just going to be, I mean, for me, it's not happening for me. It's just too hard. It's way too hard. So I was hoping to catch up with everybody there, lots of my music tech friends, but I think I'll just have to wait till the following year. Yeah, New Jersey outside New York City. Yeah, cool. Oh, I'd love to come back to TMEA, Dawn. I will come back. I was actually planning to come back next year. I've sort of done every other year, but I thought, no, I'm going to do 2 years in a row. And then just the whole coronavirus thing, it's just, you all know, it's just crazy. And yeah, I'm just not convinced that booking flights at the moment is a good plan. Even if everybody thinks it's going to be okay, then I just feel like we don't know. So yeah, Martin, you should come with me in 2022. We should go. We a road trip. Lots of fun. I actually fly through New Zealand usually, so I could pick you up on the way. Hello, Sally. Sally's from Minnesota. Retired, but here. That's commitment. Yeah, road trip, Kathy. I know. Road trip in the air. Not really road trip at all, but anyway. It's been kind of weird not traveling so much actually this year. Kind of good in some ways and not so good in other ways, but there you go. Hello, Adrian from Adelaide. All right, I'm going to turn off the chat window so I don't get distracted and I'm going to get started. Martin will keep an eye on things as always, which is awesome. And I'm just going to start sharing my screen so we can get started properly. I feel like I'm not going to take as long today to get through all the content because I worked out that usually my slideshow, my presentation slides, they're over 100 slides, and today's one has a total of 67. So hopefully that means it won't be as long, although maybe people don't care so much about that anyway. All right, I'm going to just share my screen here. You should see it change in a second. Oh, hold on. Screen here. No. Let's just turn that off. All right. There we go. So I'm going to get started. Welcome to everybody in the session today. It's great to have lots of you here again, as usual. I wasn't sure if this session would be as popular as the last couple, but I think we had just about as many registrations. So it's really lovely that people are finding these useful. And in fact, at the very end of this session, I will ask you for suggestions for future topics. I have a few ideas, but I'm happy to take requests, no promises, but we can see how we go. So today's session is all about notation and adding notation into worksheets and presentations. A little bit about me. If I haven't met you before, my name's Katie. I am based in Melbourne and I run my own business, Midnight Music. And I'm what I'm calling a digital learning coach because I think it sort of sums up what I do mostly, and specifically for music teachers. I run workshops, a lot of stuff online, particularly this year, but also in person, present at conferences. I have a podcast, a blog, and do lots of things like that. So I love it. I love working with music teachers and in the area of technology. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. If you have some tech issues, i.e. the video kind of stops working for you or the audio goes, it's nearly always the internet at your end. So just go out of the session, come back in, see if you can get closer to your router, kick your kids off Netflix and the PlayStation, all of those things, and that usually solves it. If all else fails, the session is being recorded and you can catch up later on. Now, I will be providing you with a copy of today's slides, so feel free to take notes, but just know that you'll also get a copy of the slides as well. And I mentioned earlier, I've got Martin Emo who's helping out with the chat today. It's way too much for me to handle everything at once, so he's in the chat window. And there are some people in the chat window on the web page where most of you are watching the video, and some people in the chat window on the YouTube video directly as well. So welcome to both groups of people. Martin will keep an eye on both because he's good at multitasking like that. And I will go through the content and we will have question and answer time at the end. Martin will answer some stuff as we go, but if it doesn't get answered, don't worry. I will do extended Q&A at the very end. So, in today's session, we're going to just look at some examples of the types of things I'm referring to in terms of adding notation to worksheets and presentations and other resources that you might be creating. I want to talk about why there is no one right way to do this. I do kind of chuckle a little bit when I see the question pop up in Facebook groups because anyone who asks, how do you guys all add notation to your slides or to your worksheets? People are very adamant in their response in this is the one best way to do it. And I just don't think that that's the case. I'm actually going to talk through 4 different methods to create or add notation. They each have benefits, they each have their place, and use whatever works for you. And I'm going to just talk through a few tips for making it look good as well. Now, I'm doing something a little bit different today in that I'm giving you ahead of time a place where there's a collection of links to things that I'm mentioning in the session today. You can go there right now if you want to in a new tab. You can open it up and just have it on the side there. I will mention if things are not included on this page. And this page is actually a Wakelet page. Wakelet is a place that you can collect and share resources to different things. And this is the place where I've collected all the links from today's session. So when I mention, for instance, a specific software program or a font, I've given you a link to where you can download it or find out more information and so on. Right, let's get going. I want to talk through some examples and just give a bit of an introduction about this whole thing of adding notation to worksheets and presentations. So I mentioned there's multiple approaches and tools. There really is no one right way, and you do need to use the method that works for you. Certain things work better for different people. So whatever works for you. And to be honest, I use a combination of methods depending on what I'm creating and where I'm creating it and who it's for and how complex the notation is and all of those other things. So the types of things I'm talking about today, and I'm going to show you a few pictures in a moment, but it's these sorts of things that where there's like rhythm flashcards that you want to show students. You might have a sing-along slideshow which shows notation in it. You might be creating drag and drop type activities for students to complete, which has notation involved. You might be doing worksheets where there's a question which says, dear students, please fill in the following notes in the treble clef that you can see below, that type of thing. You might be working with older students where you have essays or papers that need to show snippets of musical examples from a symphony or a concerto. And you might be doing something like sight reading exercises, and there's lots and lots of other case scenarios. So here's a few pictures just so that you can visualize what I'm talking about. So this one is a compose your own rhythm drag and drop activity. And I actually showed this in the Google Slides webinar if you were at that last month. So on the right-hand side, there are little blocks of notation and the students can actually click and drag those into the right order or composing their own rhythm. They're going to put it in an order that they like. So that's one place that you might have notation. Here's another example. So if you wanted to do some kind of play-along activity with students and you may be doing bucket drumming, you might just have simple rhythms on the screen which students are going to follow along with. At the moment, if you're teaching remotely, this might be shown in a video that you're playing for students and they're going to play along with you. Here's another example where we've got a couple of notes on the right-hand side, and actually those notes are multiple notes stacked on top of each other, the 2 little crotchets that you can see on the right-hand side there. And students, again, can drag them into the right place to put the correct note in the line or space on the screen. This is an example of notation of a different type where we have colours for boom whackers and we have note names inside the note heads showing as well. I'll talk about how you can create that later on if you're interested. This is another example, very similar, same sort of thing, boom whacker colours, note names in note heads and curve and hand signs underneath as well. This one, I just discovered how to do this super, super quickly and easily just yesterday or the day before, and I will share that later on. It was a surprising place that I found I could do this. You might have something like this: younger students, stick notation, no note heads whatsoever. Or you might be working with older students who are reading, full pieces of music, and you've got the full piece of music written out and you're doing some kind of sing along there and you just want to have it shown in your presentation file. And this one here is again a short example of Peter and the Wolf theme, and I've just got that there. It makes it really easy to have this handy when you're showing students and demonstrating to them. So, the four main methods that I want to talk about today are, first of all, using ready-made notation clip art. The second one is using music fonts. The third one is using the flat add-on for docs or slides. And the last one is going to be using notation software. So let's talk about clip art first of all. Now, with clip art, basically we've got images of notes and rests and musical terms and so on, and they generally tend to be individual notes or individual musical symbols. Sometimes you might have a combination of a few things together, but it's small snippets of musical elements. Now, using clip art is really easy because essentially it's an image that you drag into your presentation file or your document and you place it where you need to place it and you're done. So this is really best though for simple notation. You're not going to be using this to create or recreate the Peter and the Wolf theme. It's going to be too complex for that job. So this is something where you would use simple notation. This is super useful for drag and drop activities. And with clip art, you can usually find collections of clip art that are ready made. And I'm going to tell you a couple of places where you can get them. So it looks something like this. Everything you can see on the screen here is a separate individual image that you can drag around like any other image. You can resize it by clicking on it in the corners and making it bigger or smaller. Super easy to use. You don't need to know how to create those notes or symbols at all. They're just already done for you. So where can you find this clip art to use? I actually have a collection myself. I made a collection a few years ago because lots of people needed this. So I put together what I called the Big Free Music Notation Image Library. And there is a link to this on that page that I mentioned earlier. And basically you can go there and download a zip file of lots of different notes and elements and clefs. And I've got some blank staves in there as well, and dynamics and all sorts of other things there. On Teachers Pay Teachers, there are a number of people selling collections of music clip art as well, so you can go and search there. The third thing you can do is just do an image search in Google to find individual note images. That way will yield you results, but it's very slow. So I would head for getting a collection first off if you can, and then maybe filling it out, with things that might be missing. And the last thing is you can actually make your own clip art yourself, and it's really not hard to do. I will talk about that later on. So the way I did it was to use Sibelius, any notation program. You open it up, you create the one element that you want to make into clip art, you blow it up really big on the screen, you take a screenshot, and there's your one image. And I'm going to talk more about zooming in later on because this is a really important part of taking screenshots of notation. So that's essentially all you need to do. So these are examples of clip art in action. I showed this one earlier. So the two notes on the right-hand side are individual images that you can just drag into place and you can resize them. I've sized these ones in this example fairly small because they need to fit into the lines and spaces on the staves that I've got on the screen. Now, the staves that you can see are actually clip art as well, and the clef is also clip art. So I dragged the clef into place, I dragged the stave into place, I made sure the clef fit into the stave lines where it should fit. The note names underneath where the students are going to actually drag the crotchets into, those are text boxes on the screen. So putting this together is pretty quick, a little bit fiddly because you've got to format things and make things line up, but, not so hard. And once you've done it once, you just duplicate, and switch out certain things each time. Here's another example of using clipart. And again, you can see this as simple notation. So you might be working with students and you've got some beat circles on the screen and you've got rhythms in each of the beat circles. So again, great way to use clipart. And this is what I would use. This is what I would do. This would be my first method for creating something like this, is to grab clipart images and put it together. So using clipart, all you'll do is download the images or create them yourself, import them into your document like you do any other image, resize them, align them. And if you are doing drag and drop activities with students, you can duplicate the same image over and over and over and over so that they have like a supply of quarter notes or half notes, and then they can drag them into the right place on the stave or whatever the activity involves. Okay, so that's clipart. Let's go on to number 2, which is using music fonts. This is the one I find people are very adamant about, that this is the best solution ever. Not quite sure I agree, but it does have its place. So, music fonts, there are special fonts that you can download and install on your Mac or Windows machine. Now, this is basically, when you're working with music fonts, it's like working with any font in anything that you do. So if you are working in let's say, a presentation file, you'll open up PowerPoint, you'll get a text box on the screen, and you'll choose the font to use. Now, instead of using Times New Roman or Helvetica or Arial or whatever font you would normally write with, you will actually select your music font that you've installed from the font choices. And then you'll type in characters and magically music will appear. Hopefully, magically. Now, you need to know which keys to press to get the right things that you want to appear on the screen. So you need to know that the letter A on your computer keyboard is a quarter note or whatever it is for that font. Each music font is different. There is not a standard layout on the computer keyboard for each music font. Whoever's made the font will tell you, hopefully, which keys you need to press to get which things. And the thing that they provide that shows you that is called the character map. So hopefully you'll find a character map. I have found that it's kind of difficult to find where the character map is for some fonts. So that is a barrier sometimes. Sometimes I end up creating my own. But nevertheless, it's quite easy. So you install the font and you type the right things to get a combination of notes that you need to put into your presentation or worksheet. Now, when you're resizing, when you're doing this method, rather than dragging the corners of an image, you're actually just resizing text. So it's like resizing a regular word that's appearing in your presentation. It's just that it's going to be the music that's on the screen. I'm going to show you some examples in a moment, but before we do that, I just want to say there is a few things that I think are good to be aware of when you're using music fonts. One thing is that formatting of music, when you're using it, when you're creating it via a font, it can be a little bit fiddly. That's actually I'm understating that actually. It's quite fiddly. So I find it a little bit frustrating, to be honest. So it may or may not be the best way, but if the notation is simple, absolutely this would be a great way to create the notation that you need. Now, there are usually limitations on the musical elements that you'll have access to within the font. So if you want to do complex notation, it just may not be possible with a music font. You need to look at another option. For instance, one of the fonts that I downloaded, it just doesn't do triplets. It doesn't have triplets. It's not part of the font. You just can't do it. So for that font, if you need triplets in whatever you're creating, you're going to have to use a different method. I've put beware format for end user. Now, when you are creating resources with fonts, if the other person at the other end does not have the same font installed, you cannot send them the original file format that you've created your thing in. So, for instance, if you create a PowerPoint file and it shows a music font displaying the notation that you need the other person to see. If you send that to them as a PowerPoint file, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to view what you need them to view in the right way because they do not have that font installed on their machine. So what you'll do is actually save your PowerPoint file as a PDF document, which will show the right things, or as an image file, which will show the right things. So you just need to be aware of that. It's not impossible to share it with people that don't have the font. You just need to be aware of how you're exporting or saving that file and sharing it with them. And the other thing to know is that you can't install these special fonts into Google Docs or Slides. I've got a different solution for that, but you can't install these ones into Google Docs or Slides. It needs to be something that you're going to use locally on your machine, like PowerPoint on a Mac or Windows, or Keynote on Mac, or Pages or Word, Microsoft Word, which is installed locally on your computer. All right, I'm just checking in, making sure everyone's still there and okay. Good, okay. So I just want to show you a few examples of how this works. If you've never used a font like this before, it can be kind of a bit weird, to be honest. It's like learning a code and typing a code. So here's one example. I've got a few pictures of different music fonts here just to show you what they look like. So this is the Music Quick font, and it's a free one. And at the top there, you'll see this strange combination of letters and characters, and that is what I typed into a text box. And then if I change it to the Music Quick font, that is what it ends up looking like. It's pretty magical, right? Like, that's pretty amazing the way it looks. So in the top text box, you can see that the ampersand sign is equivalent to the treble clef with stave lines behind it. This font actually has the stave lines behind each character. And then the equal sign gives a little space. It gives a bit of stave with nothing on it. And then I typed the number 4, which gave me the 4/4 time signature. And then I typed the letter R, capital R, which gave me the C, the middle C. Then I typed equals to get me a little space on the stave. And then I typed capital T and so on. So you can see you need to know what the character map is in order to get the right thing. So here's another example. This is the Music Sync font made by the same person, and this is the version of the font which has no stave line, so good for rhythms. So to type, to get the rhythm in the bottom left-hand corner, I typed what you can see at the top left-hand corner, $QO, QQ, QQ. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see I've got another example, and same again. I had to type weird things to get that result. So here's a few more fonts. I'm going to just run through a few fonts and what they look like. I've only got a small selection. I haven't got all the fonts in the world here, so there may be other ones that you prefer out there, and it's worth doing a little bit of research, and it's actually worth posting or searching in some of the Facebook groups to ask what are people's favourite fonts. The one that I think looks the nicest, that I've found so far at least, is the Notable font, which is on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's Jerry Crosby, I think. I hope I've got the name right or remember the name correctly. So that's what this one looks like. There are options for rhythms. You can do stick notation. The Kerwin hand signs are in there, and so on. So it's got some great things if you're a Kodai educator. That's what this one looks like. There's another one called Music Ed font, which is a paid font again, and this one I don't love as much because I don't love the way it looks so much. I don't love the look of the notes. The time signatures look good. The notes they're okay. It's the spacing that bugs me a little bit. It's difficult to get the spacing right. I want more breathing room, and so if you can look at the semiquavers at the end of the top line there, they're a little bit bunched up for me. Anyway, this is what happens when you're using a font. You don't have as much control as if you were using notation software. And down the bottom, I just put the example of the stems down options in there, and I don't love the stems down because the stems are not very long. They're kind of squished. I thought maybe I'd typed it wrong, but I could not find a way to do it some other way. So that was how it looks. The Music Ed font also has the Kerwin hand signs as well. So certain letters that you'll type will give you the sign for do, re, mi, fa, and so on. And it also has this keyboard option, which is quite funny because when you type one letter, you'll get like the white note with a little bit of the black note showing, or the edge of the black note. And then you'll type the black note option, and then you'll type another white note, which is between the two black notes, and so on. You can create a keyboard like from scratch with all the separate characters that you type. I just glanced across to the chat window and Elisa's pointed that it's 5 beats in a measure. Yeah, I know. It was just an example to show you what it looked like. But thank you. Yeah, and actually, do you know what? You bring up a really good point. So here's the thing with fonts, you can type whatever you want, and it's very easy to be incorrect. So if you're making resources for your students, you do need to be super careful because you can create one measure with 26 beats in it if if you're not careful. And if you are using notation software, on the other hand, the notation software does not really allow you to do that. Most notation software will actually confine you to the correct number of beats in the bar. So, yeah, so that's, Elise gets 10 points, Martin says. I love it. Great point. So I want to show you just briefly, what does a character map look like? So here's the character map from the Notable font. This is that one that I mentioned is on Teachers Pay Teachers that I like the look of the most out of the ones that I found. So you'll get something like this where it tells you that the letter Q is a quarter note, and if you press Shift Q, you'll get the quarter note rest, and so on. You can see all the options there, and you can see the hand signs are there. So you do need to kind of have this open on a page or print it out while you're working until you've learnt them off by heart. Maybe at some point you'll do, and then you can just keep going after that. So, and I have to say that Jerry Crosby, who made this font, this was the best character map that I could find out of all the fonts I downloaded. And I downloaded about 8, I reckon. And half of them didn't have any character map whatsoever. And half of them had character maps that I could not even work out. I just couldn't. There was like a table of different things, and I just could not even work out what they were trying to tell me. So this was the best and most clearest one. So if you're going to use fonts, they are really good for simple music examples once again. I've put down that they can be frustrating at times. This is what I find. I find them frustrating at times mainly because I know I can do things a lot more easily and with a lot more flexibility in notation software. However, if this is working for you and you don't have time to learn software, notation software, go for it. Use it. Stick with it if it's working for you. So I have put there, I really, really, really do think it's worth investing time into learning notation software. Use the music fonts if you want the really quick and dirty version of creating something. But I'm going to just tell you, once you know a little bit about notation software, I think you're just going to find, oh, thank goodness I can do all these things I couldn't do with the font. So that's just my advice anyway. All right, number 3. The flat add-on. I just wanted to mention this because this one pops up a lot as, oh my gosh, the one solution that everybody should consider is the flat add-on. It is a great solution for some things. It's not the only solution, and I do think it definitely has limitations, but it is a quick and easy way to get, again, simple notation into Google Docs and Slides. So this is an add-on. An add-on is a free feature that you can install in your Google Docs and Slides account, and you'll get access to this extra feature. Now, it's not there until you've actually gone and installed it. And the way to install it is if you just look up, I've given you a link actually on that page of links for this session. You basically go to the Chrome Web Store, you look for this add-on, and you'll click the button which says install. So that's as easy as it is. It doesn't cost you any money. And then once you've installed it and you open up a Google Doc or a Slides document, you'll see it in your add-ons menu as an option. So you install it. It's basically a light version of the Flat notation software. Flat is an online notation software program. And this is a very light version of that software which lives inside Google Docs or Slides. So how to use this? First of all, go and install it. You only need to do that once. Once it's done, it's done. And it doesn't really matter which. I installed it in Docs and now I have access to it in Slides. So just install it in one or the other, and I think you'll end up with it to it in both. Then to use it, so you open up a document or a presentation file, and then you go to add-ons, which is a menu option, add-ons. You see flat for docs, you click on that, and then you choose insert musical snippet. And a window will pop up which allows you to create your notation. It's like a mini notation software window. And then once you're done, you click insert and the snippet gets inserted as an image. I'm going to show you screenshots of what that looks like, but this is the end result. First of all, here's the end result. So these were all created with flat. Now they look really nice, right? They look cool. So top right-hand corner, regular, notation, pitch notation on a treble stave. I've got twinkle twinkle, so you can put lyrics in there as well. You can do a single line percussion stave, which is kind of cool. And you can do two hands, piano, grand staff together. There's a couple of other instrument options you can choose from, but it's limited. So when you're in Google Slides or Docs, this is what it looks like. Add-ons, go to flat for docs, and then choose insert musical snippet. This is the window that pops up, mini notation software window. And you can basically just click the notes in, or you can type them. So if you want a note that's an E, you'll type the letter E and it will appear on the stave for you. And you'll keep typing. In this window, you can actually play it back to hear it. You can do proof listening, as I like to say. So there's a play button in the bottom left. However, once you've inserted this into your document, it's not playable. There's no play button once it's inserted. It's just an image once it goes into your document. But you can play it here just to check that you've done the right thing. You can see in this screenshot also there's a few options here, limited options for articulation that you can add, ornaments, dynamics, measures. You can remove or add measures. You can add text like lyrics, as I mentioned before. And then when you hit the insert button, it looks like this in your document, and you can see it behaves then like an image. So this is me selecting the image in Slides, and I can drag the corners to make it bigger, crop it if I want to, and so on. Now, a few little tips. I worked out kind of a trick to do with spacing of notes. But first of all, I used to think that once it was inserted, you could not really edit what you had done. You needed to go back and recreate the whole thing from scratch. However, it kind of works straight away, but not if you come back the next day. So if you insert it, go and look at it and think, oh no, I've done the wrong notes in measure 2, you can click on the thing that you've just inserted, you click on it, you go back to the add-ons menu, back to insert musical snippet, and the musical snippet that you have selected on the screen will hopefully open up in that editing window and you can change what you've done. However, this does not always work in my experience, and it definitely doesn't work, I found, when I come back to the document the next day. So I think it's mainly if you insert it and then in that same session of working on your document, you go, oh, I need to fix that. You can go back. Also, I don't think it works, and someone might know this for sure, but I don't think it works if you create another new snippet afterwards and then you want to go back to the first one to edit that, to fix it up. I think it's just for the one that you've just done. That's what it's appeared to me to work like. So that's that. Anyway, experiment, but just be warned, it's really good. It's really best to proofread everything before you insert it into the document, just in case. Now, the second thing, I don't love the spacing of the notes. Again, the spacing of the notes that's created by the flat add-on, there's not a lot of control over that. There is no control over that, apart from this one trick that I learned, or I sort of did a workaround and I thought, oh, I wonder if this will work. And it did. So adjusting the spacing of notes is not possible within the flat window itself. But I did find that you can put lyrics under the notes, which will then stretch out the spacing of your notes to accommodate the lyrics. And then you just crop the lyrics out of the snippet. leaving the notes looking beautiful. I'm going to show you an example in a second. Just before we go on, that last tip I did mention earlier, you can play your snippet while you're editing it, but not after it's inserted. So let's just look at this hidden lyrics trick. So up the top there, this is what Flat created when I typed in my rhythm on a single stave. Now, after I sneakily put some lyrics in there and then cropped them out, that was what the example looked like in the after shot there. And I like the look of that much better. It's a bit more spaced out. It's maybe a bit too much spaced out, but you get the idea. You can adjust this yourself. Now, what's really going on is this. I typed in with the lyrics function, I typed in I actually used the word space. I don't know. It can be anything. You could just type ASDF if you wanted, but I typed in the word space, 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 space underneath the notes, and Flat accommodates those words and stretches out the notes for you. I found that the word space was a bit too much on the joined up quavers, so I changed it to spar, 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 space, spar, space. And then when I brought it into the document, when I clicked insert, all I did was double click, because it's an image at that point. I double clicked on it and then cropped out the lyrics that you can see at the bottom there, leaving the one in the middle, the after shot. So hopefully that's a good tip for some of you who may be using Flat and are a bit frustrated by the spacing of notes. Anyway, it's not so bad. But it's a great quick option. And if you've got students and you want the students to add notation into their documents and slides, this is a really good option for them, because it's very likely they're not needing anything overly complex. And it's a simple option. There's not a lot of features for them to get bogged down in. So great thing to explore. So you can see what I mean by using whatever method works at the right time. I use Flat for certain instances. I use clipart for certain instances. I don't use fonts so much, but I could do, especially those curve and hand signs, super useful with the font. Much easier to create those and just have them there. Okay, so let's just look at the last thing, which is notation software. Now, I will say that this is possibly my favourite option, mainly because it has the most flexibility. So notation software is essentially software that creates scores. I think people avoid this because they think that notation software is really for a full-blown score, for complex things, for big things. It's not the case. You can do single notes and create your clip art if you want to. You can do rhythms of 2 beats long. You can do rhythms of eight measures long if you want to. There's many options, and you have the most flexibility with the layout, with the formatting, with changing note heads to different colors, to adding note names inside note heads, to doing stick notation, to having no stave lines, and all of these other things. And again, I'll show you some examples so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, yes, this has a steeper learning curve, but I truly think it's worth it. If those of you in the US, Northern Hemisphere, if you're on your summer break or about to be on your summer break, this would be a great project if you've never used a notation software program. Really good to pick one and just start learning. Go slow, just pick something simple to create. There are lots of YouTube videos for all the notation software programs. And I just think that this is one of those skills that you will never regret learning in the long run. As a musician generally, or a music teacher, I really think that it would be awesome if everybody knew how to use something like PowerPoint keynote slides equivalent, something like a word processor, and a notation software program. If you know all those 3 things, it's awesome. Like you can just do so much with those 3 things. And the other thing is, notation software is made for this job of, funnily enough, creating notation. So this is why it is the option with the most flexibility. So how does this work? Essentially, create notation in your software app of choice. And I'm going to give you a few options in the moment. There's no one right, perfect option for everybody. There are different ones. Once you've created whatever it is you want for your resource, you are then going to tweak the layout and zoom level. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those in a moment. And then you'll take a screenshot of whatever it is you've created, and you'll put that into your document. So the end result of this is like when you've used the flat add-on or like when you've put clipart into the document. It's just that you're creating it in your notation software and then you make an image out of whatever you've created. You take a screenshot and put it into your document. So I'll talk through a few software options and then I want to just show you some examples of what this looks like, the types of things that you can create. Now, I said before there's no one right software program and they really vary in price and they vary a little bit in features. Most of them do very similar things until you get to a very high level, but there are many options. So if you are needing a free option, MuseScore is a good choice. It works for Mac or Windows. It's something that you install on your computer. So if you have a Chromebook, it's not an option for you. So MuseScore, Mac and Windows, it's totally free. Now, if you need a cloud-based option, there is Noteflight and Flat. Now, I've listed these twice here, you'll notice. Noteflight Learn and Flat for Education are the education versions of these software programs. They are paid, and if you are a teacher, you'll get it as a teacher, and you can also use it with your students, and they have a subscription model. So price per student per year. Now, I've mentioned these, Noteflight Learn and Flat for Education. I've put them down. If you are going to use these with students, you need to use the Learn version of Noteflight or the Flat for Education version of Flat because they have the walled environment for your students, the privacy, you have your own space within those. So if you're using it with students, you need those. However, if you're as a teacher just using these to create resources, you could use the personal versions of these, which are the ones you see when you just go to their normal website. You can set up a free account. And then they also have paid options too. I will say though, with both Noteflight and Flat, the free versions don't have all the education features that you might be after. For instance, if you want Boomwhacker note colors, I am 99% certain they are not in the free version of Noteflight or Flat. So that's just one example. So do just check it out. You could set up the free account, see if you like it, and then look to upgrading or changing to the education versions of either of those. Notion is another software program. It's a paid one. It's not as expensive as the final three that I've got on the list there. And a lot of people like Notion because it has an excellent sound library. And some people find it easier to use, so not as steep a learning curve. Then there's Sibelius, Finale, and Dorico. Sibelius and Finale have been around forever. And don't ever ask which is better, Sibelius or Finale, in a Facebook group because there will be all sorts of people discussing it till the cows come home. They're both fantastic programs. Dorico is a newer one that's come onto the scene, and those three I would consider the professional notation programs. Now, if you are a composer or an arranger and you're going to be doing lots of composing and arranging, those three options are great to consider. If you don't need all the features and all the flexibility, they may be overkill for you. So it's up to you what you get. I'm a Sibelius user. I've used Sibelius for years, and nearly all of the other ones on this page, apart from Finale, were not even around when I started using Sibelius. So the others have come along more recently. All right, that's my little thing on software. Let's just move on to what you can do. I'm pretty sure all of the things I'm going to show you are pretty much possible with most of these software programs, all the examples, give or take. I'm not going to promise. All right, so the sorts of things you can do are create regular notation with stems at the top left there. On the right-hand side at the top, you may want sight reading examples which look like that, pictures with no stems at all. You're just wanting students to concentrate on pictures, so you can easily create that with your notation software. Down the bottom, most of the software programs have an option to add note names inside the note heads automatically. You don't need to do that. They just pop in there. You just click a button and there they are. Other things you might create with your notation software include rhythmic examples. So these two are both rhythms that have no stave lines at all behind them, just the rhythms on their own. On the next page, there's an example of a rhythm which has a single stave line running through the middle. And at the bottom, stick notation, no stave lines, no note heads, just the stick notation. Other examples of things that you might create are, again, I'd showed this before, but Peter's theme played by the strings and a small snippet of that example there in notation for students to look at. This one again, I showed this earlier too. I created those little boxes with the notation inside Sibelius. I took screenshots and then I put them into Google Slides, and this is what they've ended up looking like. This example here, Sibelius, I used to just do an example of creating notation which has coloured note heads. They're coloured for the Boomwhacker colours, and the note names inside the note heads at the same time. Now, do you want to see the cool thing that I discovered yesterday or the day before? And this is with Flat, which surprised me. Flat, I don't love as much maybe as some of the other notation software programs, but this is so inside Flat, you can actually click a button to turn on the Boomwhacker note colors and also the note names in the note heads, and you can have one without the other if you want. But I found this other option, which was, do you want to add a Kodai stave, which includes stick note? It automatically generated the stick notation. I did not do that. It based it on my upper stave. It just added another stave automatically with the stick notation and the hand signs. I thought that was really cool. I had no idea Flat could do that, and I don't know of another software program that can do it automatically in the way that Flat does. So there you go. Very cool. Everyone's going to tell me who uses Flat that they already knew that for ages, but there you go. Even I learn new things. Now, tips to make your notation snippets look good. Now, first of all, the thing you need to work out, first of all, is setting up your score. Do you want stave lines to show or no stave lines to show? You'll kind of decide that early on. And to be honest, you can have when I do these really short examples, I have a Sibelius document and it looks like an absolute mess because it'll have one line with no stave lines. It'll have one isolated measure on the next line, which has stave lines. Down below that, I've got like 3 bars together. I don't know. It just looks a whole mess. I may show you later on what it looks like, but it doesn't matter because I know I'm going to end up taking screenshots of all the separate little bits. So it doesn't actually matter what it looks like inside Sibelius as long as I can get my screenshot right. So that's what I do, fix up all that layout. You want to make sure that you put breaks in the music in the right place. Now, what I mean by that is if you have, for instance, a 2-measure example that you want to take a screenshot of, I like to have it looking clean where the bar line at the end of the second bar doesn't have like the stave lines running on after it. It doesn't look like it's been chopped off, if you know what I mean. I like it isolated and clean. And there's a way to do that with formatting inside whatever notation software program you're using. One of the easiest ways you can approach that is you put the 2 bars on one line, the 2 measures across one line. When you do that, they'll often be way stretched out, way too much. Looks ridiculous. And so what you can do is change your page margins on the right and left to make the music much more squished into the middle of the page so that the measures become a lot shorter, if you know what I mean. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is the sort of thing I do when I'm setting everything up. I've put clean up the score view before taking the screenshot. So what I mean by that is sometimes in notation software, you might have layout marks showing on the screen to help you work in your notation software. But when you take the screenshot, you don't really want those layout marks there. So I turn those off. It's usually a view option that you can turn on or off. Turn them off. Turn off the hidden things that are showing on your screen to help you out while you're working in there. Turn them off before you take your screenshot. Clean it up so that you know that whatever you're capturing is only what you want to capture. Now, zoom level, this is possibly the most important thing, is to make the zoom level big, 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 big. As big as you can go. So if I'm taking a screenshot of 2 measures of music, I will blow them up on the screen so that they are enormous. Then I take my screenshot and then I put it into my document. Now, the reason for that is that the bigger you have it in the first place, the better quality it's going to be when you put it into your document. If your zoom level is low, small, the screenshot you take will be small. And then if you get it into your presentation file and you go, oh, I need to make that image bigger, and you drag the corners and you enlarge it on the screen, you'll probably find that your notation looks all pixelated or fuzzy, and it's not cool. So the way to solve that is to zoom in first, then take your screenshot, and then you can adjust it inside the presentation software or document. And single elements, if you want to make your own clip art, you'll take the screenshot from your notation software of the one clef that you want, and then you need to make the background transparent in order to use it as clip art. So the way that it would look if you didn't do that, on the left-hand side, I've got a screenshot directly from Sibelius where the background is not transparent. And if I was to drag that around, the white box stays with the note. On the right-hand side, I've removed the background, and now I can have a coloured background, and my image can be on there and it won't block out anything that's behind. So you can imagine if I wanted to use this clip art image and get students to drag it onto a stave and put it into the right place to create the note F, dragging the one on the right-hand side would be great because it won't block out the stave lines, but the left-hand one, not so much. It's going to block out the stave lines and doesn't look so nice. So there's a few ways you can remove the background of images and make them transparent. I do it in software that I've got, which is called Snagit, which is paid software. However, I also use at times this website. It's a free website called remove.bg. That is the web address, remove.bg. You visit the website, which looks like it does on the right-hand side there. You drag your clip art image there. It automatically removes the background for you, and you download the new version with a transparent background. So there is a little extra step to creating clip art because you need to do that, or you should do that. But once you've done it, it's done. You're done, and you've got that forever. So just keep a file of all your clip art images. Okay, a bonus tip as well. So here's the added bonus, one of the added bonuses with notation software, and I think a lot of people forget this too. There are times, not always, there are times when you want your students to be able to hear the notation example that you've provided them in your presentation or your document. Now, once you've taken a screenshot from your notation software, it's not playable at that point. It's playable when you're creating it and you'll actually hear it while you're creating it. But after that, it's a screenshot and it's just an image and it doesn't play back. However, if you have a notation file, you can actually save the sound of the thing that you've created as an audio file. And this is the click of a button. There's no extra time spent doing this other than you go File, export as MP3 or export audio or whatever the option is inside your software. They vary slightly, but you'll end up with an audio file. And then, and before you actually export it, you have the choice of choosing the best playback sound that you want the students to hear. So here's an example where I change the playback sound of the instrument. If I create, those that have done this in the past will just, nod their head in agreement. But if you've ever created vocal or choral examples in any notation software, the default choral sound is hideous. So before I export the sound of the soprano part, I change the playback sound so that it does not sound like the default choir sound, which is kind of this ooh, ah, airy fairy thing. Terrible. I change it to the sound of just a piano, or sometimes I change it to clarinet or flute because it's kind of a nice woodwindy sound. If it's soprano or alto, I may choose a lower instrument for tenor bass parts. So you can export the audio file with whatever sound you want from your notation software, and it's just done automatically. There's no extra you don't need to go and record it and play it yourself or sing it yourself unless you want a voice sound. If you just are happy with a piano sound playing whatever it is, then it's all good. Once you've done that, you've got an audio file you can insert into your presentation. So that's kind of cool. All right. Hey, I'm kind of through most of it, and we're under an hour. It's a miracle. All the webinars I've run in the past few months have gone at least 90 minutes long. So there you go. I'm gonna in a minute I'll open up for question and answer time, but that's basically it. That's the four ways. You've got the clip art, you've got fonts, you've got the flat add-on, and you've got notation software. If you've got the time to learn notation software, I really do recommend it. I really think it's such a useful skill. You won't regret it. There will be a small amount of pain when you're getting started and frustration. Stick with it, stay zen, and you'll get past that learning curve and everything will be great. All right. I am going to just tell you about one more thing because I've had a few people asking me. They know that I've been working, and this is sort of in the same vein, creating teaching resources. I've been working a lot on a new course called Create Beautiful Teaching Resources. And this is actually not just for music teachers, it's about creating resources generally. You could absolutely put notation into the resources that you create in this course. However, this is more about creating, well, it's about creating worksheets, but also posters, digital badges, animated things, virtual classrooms, themed images. I'm going to show you some pictures here. And I'll come back to that slide in a moment. But these are the sorts of things that we're going to create in this course. And lots of people have been asking me about when is it coming, because I had worked on it really early in the year and the plan was to release it in, I think we had like March or April as the original plan. But then, you know, the worldwide pandemic happened and I just had to put it on the back burner. It wasn't the priority for a while. It's back. So today we're kind of sort of launching today and tomorrow. The course is actually going to be done like live. You'll do it along with me. If any of you took part in the 5-day challenges that I ran last year, we're going to do it like that, over a little bit more spread out than 5 days. But basically, everyone will work on each module at the same time. If you can't do those dates, it doesn't matter. You can work at your own pace. But these are the sorts of things we're going to be creating. So the bottom right-hand corner is a Peter and the Wolf picture that I made inside Canva, which is what we're using for this course. And lots of people are asking me about how did I make that and what did I use to make it. So that's going to be one of the things. Module 5, we talk about creating images like that. And you can make your own Peter and the Wolf or something else completely if you want to. So just going back to this one, if you want more information, there's a link there. I've put the link also in the Wakelet collection if you want to click through and you can read lots more information about the course. But we're opening the doors up now, and then the first module will actually be available on the 29th of June. There's going to be a pop-up Facebook group for this course. Everyone can discuss things, and I'll be opening that up next week. And if you sign up now, actually tomorrow, you'll get access to some early pre-course materials. So that's that. And just for those wondering, if you're a member of the Midnight Music community or you would like to join the Midnight Music community, you can do that and you will get access to this course when it's available. Or if you want to get this one as a standalone option, I know not the subscription thing does not suit everybody, but you can access this one alone if you want to, alone, on its own. All right, PD's certificate for this session that you've just done is at this link, and it's midnightmusic.com.au/PD notation. And you can fill out the form and get a PD certificate for the time we've spent on this, this session. And after today, I will be sending out a replay link to, if you want to rewatch this or send it to friends, we'll be sending that out within 24 hours. So if you signed up to watch this and you received emails from us, you'll get the link in your email. Again, there'll be a copy of my slides, a PD certificate form link, and other useful links on the page where we will set up the replay of this webinar. All right, I'm going to open up for questions and answers and so on. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get back to, it's always interesting to come back and then see what's gone on in the chat window while I've been gone. All right, let's switch here. There we go. Excellent. Okay. And I'm just going to open up the chat window on my other screen too. So, was that useful? That's the first question. Hopefully that answered some questions for people. Oh, I'm on the wrong page here. Hold on. Right, I'm going to look across to my iPad here. It was useful. Thank you. Thank you. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, lovely. I'm glad. I'm glad. Excellent. It's something that I love. I love doing. I'm very passionate about notation, and I just think it's very accessible to create your own resources, and it's not as mysterious and complex as I think everyone thinks it might be. So, and for those that have never done it before, it does seem mysterious and complex, but just give it a go. I think it's really really useful. Excellent. Oh, this is great. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Julie says she's been struggling for ages. Great. And Judith, thank you, Simon Loveless. Good to see you. Okay, Bonnie's just mentioning there's an error for the course on link on Wakelet. I will check that in a second while I'm talking to people. Smart music. Chris is just asking about smart music. Is there notation that works best with it? You prefer Sibelius? Sibelius will be fine. Smart music and Finale are good friends, but you can upload your own notation files into Smart Music, and using Sibelius is totally fine. I have tried that out before and done it. I haven't done it a lot, but I have tested it and it works well. I prefer Sibelius too, mainly because it's the one that I learnt in the first place, and it's the one that I know really, really, really well. Use whatever works for you is the best thing. Linda likes the tip to zoom in. Yes, don't forget zooming. You'll only do it once. You'll get it into your thing, blow it up, and it'll be all pixelated, and you'll go, that's right, zoom in. Yeah, Angela, try the Chrome extension add-on. It's an add-on. Just make sure you know that it's an add-on when you go searching for things. So an add-on is something that works inside a specific Google thing like Docs or Slides, and an extension is something that works in your Chrome browser over everything, just in case you're wondering about the difference there. Great. Thank you, Marty, Julia, Q. That's a very mysterious James Bond name. Jean. Awesome session. Thank you, Catherine. Catherine, who spells her name the same way I spell my Catherine. So rare to find. Great. Julie, definitely dive into the tech world. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Deb. I'm glad you've learnt a lot. Renee, yes, I do have lots of presentations from before today. Let me add, I'll grab that link while I'm talking right now and pop it in the window if you're still on. I have a page. We will add this one to this page that I'm going to pop in there, which it's not quite there yet, obviously, because I'm just finishing it up. But there's many other links on this page. Previous. The more recent ones also are public videos, like accessible videos on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube and find my channel or this one, the channel, if you search for Midnight Music or Katie SW1 or something, yeah, you'll find the channel, and they're all on there anyway. But this page will give you access to more links and information. So, yep. Great. Thank you, Shauna. Yeah, great. Yep, Bonnie's saying you like the recording of the session. I think so too. I like it. Dale says, where do we find your connections to this presentation? Do you mean the links? I'll pop that in there now. I'm going to just check that course link too. Okay, the course link works for me. Maybe I misunderstood the question. Mind you, I am logged in. Hold on. Maybe I'll just test it in an incognito window. Dale, was it Dale? Now I've lost it. The course link doesn't work for you, Martin. Okay. It must be me then that's working for. I will have a look at that and try and fix that. That would be super useful. All right. I'm doing that while I'm chatting. It's very distracting, sorry. Update. Let me just try it in an incognito. I want to see what it looks like. I will get someone onto it, actually. Actually, Martin, if you get a chance, could you type into Slack and ask one of the others, because I feel like I've got way too many things open here, ask one of the others to check the course link, that it's like public and stuff and working? Nothing found. You're right. Yeah, okay. It doesn't work for me in the incognito window either. All right. Yep, that's strange. It should be working. All right, I'm coming back to the thing. You managed to get it, Julianne. How did you get that? That's so weird. Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm happy. Thank you, Tracy. Looking forward to the course in July. Oh, yes. If you have a suggestion, a request for a future webinar, feel free to type in ideas. No, Janine, you shouldn't have to join Wakelet to get my link. You should be able to see the Wakelet page with no problem. I have set that to public so that everybody can see it and it's like available to anyone in the world. The issue was clicking through from that. Maybe I've just, actually, can someone try, I'm going to just give you a direct link to the course page. Can someone just try that one and see what happens? Kelly's got all the links working. Huh. If you're on the waitlist for the course, yeah, Tracy, you'll get an email. If you're on the waitlist for the course already, you'll get an email with a direct link. Thank you, guest 6435. I'm an angel. Thank you. It's lovely. Julianne, how to maximize audio from host computer to others using Zoom. I have a previous webinar or 3 on which include information on Zoom. If you watch the one about band, orchestra, choir, I put it on that free training page. Yeah, okay. I talk about Zoom in other ones. There's some settings that you can change which will help maximize it for people watching. Also good to get the people at the other end to do the same settings too. Rana said, thank you, and huge help for emergency online teaching. Thank you. I'm glad. Never heard of Zoom. I don't think many people had heard of Zoom before March this year. I've been using it for years because in the online business world, which I am a big part of, we've all been using it since it kind of came out. And it's amusing to see that like now the whole world knows what it is. It's unusual, funny. Oh, Angie tried it and it didn't work. The last link didn't work, says Julianne as well. How weird that it's working for some of you though. That's so strange. This one works. Okay, hang on. Let me try this one. Yeah, that's the waitlist page. Look, to be honest, you can join that one. That someone, Bronwyn, thank you, Bronwyn, for posting that one. The other page actually has the information about the course on. I'm just going to message someone on my team and see if they can fix it. Oh, Kat's on it. Great. It looks like the page is published, but just not working. Strange. Sorry, everyone. If you're around for a little while, we'll get it fixed shortly. Yeah, if you're on the wait list, all good. Yep. So in the interim, if you want to join the wait list for the course, you will get notifications in the next few days about stuff. Yep. It works now, says Wanda. Woohoo. Okay. Really? Martin, can you confirm that it works for you okay? If it works for you okay? Good now. Hey, yay, yay, yay. That was Kat, my team member, I think. Okay, it's working now. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks to Kat who fixed it. Yay. Refreshed your browser. Oh, good. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. There might be a caching issue with your browsers. Yeah. So refresh the browser if you want to see if it's working. Catherine, I love seeing your spelling of your name pop up. It's so funny because people just don't believe me when I say that my version of Catherine, which is my full name, basically basically they laugh. They like, do you spell your name like that really? I actually had someone at a bank question me. I was spelling out my name for a form and she said, are you sure? When I said the spelling of Catherine to her, I'm like, yeah, pretty sure. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guest 32. Oh, Elsa here. Loved you at TMEA. Yay. I loved TMEA. Thanks, Alita. Yes, goodbye. If you need to leave, totally fine. Don't really need to hang around, but I'll hang around a little bit longer if there are any questions. And yeah, no one's given me ideas for next topics and stuff. One idea I did have, but I don't know how useful it is for people. It was going to be perhaps around how to live stream a school assembly or concert, in light of the fact that those things probably won't be happening for a while at schools. What is the best way to manage that? Because the system that I use right now is what I would suggest is one option and I think works really well and is fairly user-friendly. And if that's of use, that could be an option for the next one for July. Otherwise, there might be other things. Barbara said, what video program do I use to add my graphics? What video program for my graphics? Well, the video program that I use the most at the moment is ScreenFlow, which is Mac only. It's a screen capture. So it's for recording your screen and making tutorial videos, but it does just normal general video editing too. So I use that for everything because I know it really well. I have no need to go and learn a more complex video editing program simply because I just know ScreenFlow really well. However, if you're on a PC, an equivalent would be Camtasia. There's also WeVideo, which is an online video platform. There's Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro. Many options out there. Depends what you want to do, I suppose. Sally's just asked about, do I have a course about inserting music into PowerPoint? Essentially, this was it today, Sally. This was it. So, do you mean recorded? Maybe you mean recorded music. Maybe you mean audio. From the visual point of view, you would insert by all the ways that we talked about today. Insert as an image, or basically as an image file. Audio stuff. I've covered it in previous trainings. It's not a webinar which is called how to insert audio into PowerPoint as such. I'll see if I can think of the exact one where I've done that. Yeah, it's not coming to me at the moment, but I'll keep thinking. Oh, okay. Yeah, people just responding to my idea about streaming assemblies and concerts and stuff. Yes, a few yeses, and I might do a poll in a few Facebook groups and stuff. Yeah, YouTube for music teachers, that could kind of be part of it because it would be using YouTube. We could do other aspects, yeah. Bonnie, I've talked about mics and other equipment for Zoom and best sound for Zoom in a previous webinar or 3. So that on that page, free training, I'll put the link in again. Let me just identify which one. Okay, there's 2. There's one called Online Teaching Tips and Lesson Ideas for Band, Orchestra and Choir, but probably even more useful is the Online Teaching Tips for Studio Instrumental Teachers, which is on this page here. I actually talked about using Zoom, improving your audio by using an external mic, and I mentioned a few mic models, although there are, lots and lots of them. Alita said, thank you for pronouncing your name correctly. I didn't think that was so hard, that one. Dale, that link that I've posted right underneath your comment is where the previous webinars are. Definitely to streaming, says Michelle. Just going back up, there's a lot of comments coming through and I'm missing questions, I know. If I miss your question and you really, really, really want to know an answer, just type it in again. Oh, Jen, yeah, we know. The simplest way to add audio into Google Slides, yeah, it is really it's cumbersome. I don't think it's great. It's a new feature, and it's not working that well. So, bye, Catherine. Yeah, it's really not a fantastic thing. It's a bit touch and go. I find, to be honest, I would use it with caution. Yay, thank you. You want to do my next course? Says guest 8963. How do you create music examples, Spaley set a rhythm? Oh, yes. Bacha, I meant to add links to videos. Hang on, I'm going to just make a note. I'm going to add these videos to the Wakelet page. I have 2 or 3 videos on my YouTube channel which are about doing exactly that, Sibelius music examples, which are a little bit out of the ordinary. They're using a much older version of Sibelius, but I think there's possibly enough information in them that you can maybe work it out with the more recent version of Sibelius, if you know what I mean. Let me just find those while I'm talking. Because there's some quirky little things. Quirky little things. Rhythmic flashcards. Here we go. Let me see if I can find that. It's going to start playing. Nope, not that one. Let me just see. Yeah, this is from like 2009. My goodness, this is an old video. And but you ask me, if you want more specific examples than what's in this video, feel free to ask me. So that's the rhythmic flashcards. This one is also relevant about creating short examples on worksheets. No, that's not that one. Yeah, it is Speedy PD. And short pieces on one page. This one as well. So these 3 might be useful. I feel like there's a series of Sibelius videos I also made for Sibelius. They hired me to make some videos for their channel, and they're called Sibelius Get Started Fast Sibelius for Educators or something like that. If you look up those, there's a series of, I think, 8 videos. I have a feeling I may have covered something about that in one of those. My memory is so bad for these things of what I've actually made. So you could try there too. But watch these ones, and maybe, if you need extra help, just let me know. Kathy spells her name with an A-R-I-N-E and it's German. Excellent. My dad always told me it was because of Catherine Hepburn, which I quite liked. So that was good. Definitely streaming. I'm scrolling back up a little bit. Yeah, Judith needs to select a notation software to dig into. Yeah, I think that's actually a hard thing, is choosing notation software. One thing I can recommend is if you can, choose something that your friends use, your colleagues around you. It's so useful to be able to ask people, just like, "Oh my gosh, where do I find this thing?" Because often the issue with how to do something, particularly in notation software, is what is it called? It's all very well people just saying, just search for it or look up on YouTube. Unless you know what it's referred to in the notation software, it's actually quite difficult. So, choose something that your friends use is a good thing. For instance, in Australia here, we have many more Sibelius users than there are Finale users. And there's nothing wrong with Finale. Finale is fantastic. But sometimes if I know someone's a true beginner with notation software, I might say, look, if you're choosing between those 2 particularly, you might be better off with Sibelius, just because there are a lot of people around at your school or district that use it. Ian would love a webinar on using tech to stream a concert. Great. Okay. I had a feeling that would be good. Yep. Christine had a question about duplicating Google Slides earlier. Can you just say what that question was? You might have I'll keep scrolling, Christine, just in case that you've written it down lower than this reminder. Chris is saying there's an amazing program called Brainits. Oh, cool. Okay, good. Yep, there's many more things that I did not mention today. I just wanted to give sort of a broad overview, but there's so many things that I haven't even discovered too. Like that thing in Flat with the Kodai hands-on. Kim's addressing how to students record individual parts at home, edit them together to create a group. Yeah. Yeah, Kim, it's very unlikely I'm going to do that. I talked about that in at least two other webinars. It's a massive, massive job, and there are lots of people you can actually hire to do this job now. A few businesses have sprung up that do it. The reason I'm not going to do it is because A, it's very time consuming, and B, there's no one software that I can pick that everybody can use to create that. So it depends whether you've got Mac or PC, whether you've got paid software, free software, all of those things. It's just too hard. I talk about the principles of how to do it in a blog post, which has been a massively popular blog post in good and bad ways. And so I talk about the overall process. I don't go into specifics. But there are actually people online who have actually got tutorials on how to do it. So it might be worth Googling and just finding that. Great. Thank you. Amanda says, when I posted the example of flat and had the Boomworker colors, was that, no, that was with the paid version, Amanda. Good question. Good question. The add-on does not do the Boomworker colors or the Kodai hand signs. And if you're using flat, you can't do those even with the free version of the full version, if you know what I mean. Like, you need to have the paid version. I signed up for their free trial of their education version and found that I could do it. So yeah. Wendy, there's a link to the flat add-on in the, there we go. Michelle's posted it. Thank you, Michelle. I'll stop talking. In the PD link. Okay. Praise Joy Flores. Thank you. I will just send a note to someone to check that on my team right now as well. Let me just do that. Good question. All right, someone will get back. Thank you for that, Praise. Barb's asked, how do you export the audio file of your notation clip from Sibelius? So once you've made your file, you'll go File, Export Audio, and then you can actually choose the format to export it. So there's MIDI as an option and WAV file as an option as well. So you'll just do it there. I think there's an option in that window to choose which sort of, no, I take that back. I was going to say which sort of instruments you're playing back with, which sound set you're playing back with. Anyway, just make sure before you do the export that it sounds the way you want it to in your score is the main thing. And then, yeah, you just do it and it pops out automatically. It's great. Thank you, Jen, who recommends the Midnight Music Community. Jen is totally a rock star member of my Midnight Community. She does all the things. It's awesome. Thank you, Christine. Barbara said, can you make rhythmic flashcards outside of Sibelius? Yeah, you can make them with lots of different programs. Realistically, you just want the notation program to be able to create the rhythm that you need. So you can do that with any notation software. All of the ones that I've mentioned can do rhythmic flashcards. So you'll basically create the notation in the program, take the screenshot of the 4 beats that you've got, or the 3 measures, not 3 measures, maybe, whatever it is, and then pop it into Word or something else. Anyway. Yep, or use clipart. Yep, that's the other option. Yeah, great. Okay. Bonnie's got to run. Great, thank you. Excellent. I'll see you in the Canva course. Very exciting. Kathy confirms that it's good to have friends that use the same notation program, which is finale for her. I really do think that that's an underrated decision-making topic. Yeah, definitely good to consider. I've had a few people in the past where literally they've been the only one that uses a certain thing, and it's just, anyway, it's just easier if you have other people you can ask. Thank you, Barcha. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Deanna. Glad you liked the session. Thank you, Jasmine. Jasmine from Queenscliff. Oh, I'd like to get to Queenscliff in the near future. Possible future topic blogs versus web pages or others for posting resources and how to use. Yeah, that's a good topic. Dale, do you mean making a website for yourself, or like is it for you to share ideas with other teachers, or for you to well, I don't know, something else? I'd like to know more. That sounds good. Yeah, Jen's confirmed about the full version. Yeah, it's not in the education version. I'm 99% certain that in flat, the personal version does not have the boomwhacker colours and the Kodai hand signs. Bonnie wants streaming concert as a topic as well. Great. Thank you, Judith. Lisa, cropping the lyrics out in the flat add-on. So you need to insert it into the document first. Then you'll double click on the image and crop, like just drag up. I'll show you if you want to hang around. But yes, that is the way. So you can't do it when it's inside the flat pop-up window. It will be when you've put it into the document, and then you can just crop it like a normal image in there. Great, great, great. I will show you another question Kristen also asked as well. I'm just still scrolling down. Jen says, hi, Ella. She's walking around, I know. She's been very good. I gave her a thing which she's finished now, and yeah, I feel like she's going to, it doesn't matter so much now, we're on question and answer. Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Live streaming tips for student performances. Great. Other ideas might be creating movie slideshows. Yes, I actually have had that on my list as well, creating slideshows or montage kind of videos, anything video related. My other plan, apart from the Canva course, was actually to do a whole video course, and I was going to choose WeVideo to use because it's a cross-platform online option. That is still on the cards for some time, probably in 6 months or so, because I will not get it to it until then. But just generally, yeah. Oh, you've got some great ideas. I'm copying and pasting those. Thank you. Yeah, submitting video and audio learning evidence during remote learning, Jessica. I did cover that actually in which ones? The band orchestra choir webinar that I've done, and also the elementary middle school one, and in the Flipgrid one. So check those out. Flipgrid is kind of the easiest, best solution. So that might be a good one to start with if you're interested in that. Christine, gosh, sorry, I'm all over the place with the questions and stuff. Hold on. So Christine, will duplicating the slide in Google Slides duplicate the repeated stacked images? Yes, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, I often do that for that reason. So you can make all your copies of elements on a single slide and then duplicate the slide, and you'll get all the copies onto the new slide. Yep. Yeah, Mark's confirming Flipgrid as a good option for submitting videos for students. Karen, thank you. New teacher at 52. Good for you. Wow, awesome. That's excellent. Thank you, Judith. Oh, yeah, Martin's also posted thing. Treat time for the pup. No, she's just had something. She's fine. She's next to me here. Jen's got the new tip with Control D, duplicate. Yeah. All right. Look, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I'm going to do it this way so we can have two things going at once. Here we go. Let me just show you. Oh, flat. I was thinking, what is it that I'm showing? Flat. I'm just going to find this file that I did my examples in. Here we go, flat add-on. So for those wanting to know about cropping the lyrics out of a flat, what do you call it? Flat snippet. Let me just find one that I did. Oh, here we go. Nope, scroll past it now. Oh my gosh, it's jumping around. Here we go. So here's the original, And then here is the one with the cropped lyrics. If I double click on this, hopefully, there we go, you'll see the lyrics there. So when I brought it in from flat, this is what it looked like. And then all I did was just double click in the middle of the image somewhere and then drag the bottom up and then click off it to deselect. And that gets rid of the lyrics. They're cropped out now. Now here's one little trick, which I haven't mentioned. Flat add-on is kind of clever because it makes these images transparent for you automatically. And if you try and double click in a white space, oh no, it does work. Sometimes I find that it doesn't work. Maybe I'm thinking of another program. Maybe actually it's not this one. Anyway, sometimes transparent images, you can't select and do stuff if you click in the white space. You need to make sure you're on a note head or on a time signature or something. But that's it. Does that make sense? Does that help for those that were asking about cropping the lyrics out? So you can't do it when you're in the flat add-on. So in the add-on, you'll, in this pop-up window, once it's open and you're creating your musical snippet, it's taking ages to load. Oh, look, there we go. It's in here. You'll leave it like this. It looks funny and you'll insert it like that in your thing. And then it's editing the current one. Anyway, and then afterwards you'll double click and edit that out. Remove them. Great. All right, just going back to questions. They're still rolling in and I'm way back in the chat, just so you know. Sally's brain is overloaded. Yep, good evening. All right, go have a sleep now. Let me go back to my full screen mode here. Thank you, Dale. For sharing resources, links to other resources, yeah. I can highly recommend Wakelet, the one that I'm using for today's session. I've only started using that probably 6 or 8 months, like I've been using it for that time. And it's just a really good way to share links to things. You can organise the links on a Wakelet page in different ways. You can have a mood board style or like I've got in one long list. And I've done that so that I can have headings between different sections. Alexa, do you recommend introducing ensemble music students to basic music notation programs or save it till they decide to go off to school for music? Should they just experiment with handwritten or keep it simple by giving them clipart sections to around? I know I wasn't introduced until at uni. I wasn't introduced until after university because the programs didn't even exist. Actually, they did exist at uni, but hardly anyone was using them. And I handwrote all of my assignments all through uni. I would totally introduce it as early as possible. It's the same as using a word processor in my mind. You can do really simple things even with very young students. My lovely friend Amy Burns uses it with her grade 2 and 3 students. I don't know about earlier, maybe even with earlier. The thing that you need to do with very young kids, and even with middle school, it's so much better as a teacher to set up a template in the notation program first and give that to the kids to work from, where they're just doing one thing. So you can set up a template which has the clef, the time signature, the key signature already set up, and maybe even part of a melody put in, and then you get them to fill in measure 2 or something like that. The thing is, if you start them off from scratch, if you say go and open Noteflight and start from scratch, set up a score, add the instrument, add the key signature, all of those things, that can take up half of your lesson at least. And believe me, it does even with adults when I'm training adults. So have all that done, because if the point of your lesson is to get them to compose 2 measures of music with a pentatonic melody, I would have it all set up so that is just what they're doing in the lesson. They will work out how to set up a score from scratch. They can do that later, unless that's the point of your lessons. The point of one of your lessons may be, here's how to set up a score from scratch in the notation software. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But you could also do the clipart thing, as well. Definitely before university. I would definitely go for elementary school if you can, middle school, whatever. Yeah. 11 p.m. for Kelly. Go to bed. Go to bed, definitely. I had a late night last night. Yeah, be earlier for me today. Praise, thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that you like it. Oh, in the Philippines. How lovely. I have been to the Philippines a couple of times. Beautiful. So beautiful there. Thank you, Carolyn. Oh, Google Sites, yes. Actually, Jen, you know what? I did have that on my list as well, Google Sites. That could be a good solution for many things, actually. Yeah, super useful. Julie wants to learn how to create videos with lyrics that follow audio files. Yeah, got it, got it. There's a few ways you can do that. I have actually covered that a little bit in some other webinars, and I've got much more training inside my online community, which is, you know, the paid space. So stuff in that too. But yeah, creating lyric videos and things is a really useful thing. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Jennifer Gillis, is there a way to automatically send a response image? I made a choice board with a check mark in the corner linked to a Google form, and now, Jennifer, your message got cut off. It's like suspenseful. Automatically send a response / image. I don't know what the rest of that question should be. I'll wait to see if there's a oh, there it is. You have a choice board linked to a Google form where my students tell me what they did. Yes, got it. Created digital stickers to send them for each assignment. Awesome. That's part of the Canva course that I've just done. Is there a way to automate this? Yes. No, I have not covered that in another webinar, but yes, I totally set that up for my free challenge. It's not totally automated because so what happens is they submit the form. You can see they've done the stuff, they've done the thing, and you then need to simply copy and paste their names and email addresses from the form, from the spreadsheet, into a third-party website, which then automatically sends the badge to them. It's really cool. So the service I use to do that, I probably can't explain it in total detail right now, but the service I use to do that is called Badger, but it's Badger with no E on the end. So it's BADGR, Badger. If you look that up, it's a free service. I think it's still free. Badger. I've just typed the name of it in there. So yeah, it works really well. And when you've done that, each person can view their badges on that website, but also they can download the badge. They get an email with the download link to the badge as well. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So it's semi-automated. It's not totally. Yeah, but you can do it in bulk. So I would do a batch, like people would do something in this challenge that I was running, and then I'd go in and check the form. I'd wait till there was like 20 that were done, and I would upload them all in one go, click one button, and they'd all be sent out at once. And then I'd wait for the next 10 or 20 to be done, send it out. So I hope that makes sense. Amy, about the Flipgrid webinar. Martin's already on it. Great, thank you. Dale's asking about the presentation software I used in my presentation. White something. The presentation software today that I used was Keynote on the Mac. I might not be thinking of the same thing. Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, StreamYard. Yes, if that's what you mean, StreamYard. The live streaming thing is StreamYard that I'm using today. It's very, very straightforward to use. Susanna uses Sibelius at school. Want to get something simpler for years 7 and 8 they can use at home. Use MuseScore, a good option. To be honest, I would probably look at Noteflight or Flat, really. MuseScore is a good option too. So MuseScore, if they've got Macs and PCs to use it, they need to have that to use MuseScore. Sibelius for elective students is a great option if you've already got it, and perfect for those that are going to go on to music specialist subjects at year 10, 11, 12, beyond. And yeah, Sibelius is kind of like overkill for year 7 and 8. They really do not need all of the features. MuseScore is a great option. Noteflight and Flat, a lot of students like those. You would need to do the paid education environment for either of those. I have a preference for Noteflight. I just prefer the way that it works and looks and feels. Lots of people like Flat. Noteflight has a few more features in place. Flat is a younger program, so they're still adding things as it goes along. I hope that it doesn't really say definitively one thing, but I hope that's a few suggestions. Thank you, Kim. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you, Kim. Lovely comment. Thank you, Amy. Ella's telling me to wind up shortly. I will wind up shortly. Yeah, Susanna. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, there we go. Martin has confirmed similar as well. Jennifer. Yeah, good. Try Badger. Flat. I've heard that some students, particularly teenage students, like Flat because they like the way it works on their phones better than Noteflight does. Having said that, Noteflight also works on phones. You know, it's just it's just kind of like if it would be nice in an ideal world, they would have the option of using whichever one they want. If they are older students, as in over 13, they could use whichever one they want. If they're 13 and under, they really need to be in that education environment, which means the paid program. Also, paying for Flat and Noteflight gives you a much better experience as a teacher because you can manage your students. You can send out assignments, gather them back in. It works kind of like a Google Classroom or an LMS situation in that way. Anyway. Yeah. Noteflight new feature. I have not tested that Noteflight new feature yet either. Susanna's asking, how do you get rhythm with no stave or line in Sibelius? All right. Do you want to know the answer to this? It's in that video that I posted earlier for someone. I'll post it again. But having said that, this video is more than 10 years old, so it's for a previous version of Sibelius, but it will show you the one thing that you need to know. So what you do, Susanna, is you set up a stave. You actually change the instrument being used by the stave. So instead of having just a regular treble staff, you actually change the instrument to and you need to go through like all of these sub-menus inside the Sibelius instruments. You're looking for the one which is called in the other category, and it's called no instrument. And there's 3 options in there. No instrument, bar lines hidden, no instrument. I can't remember the 3 options. I usually use the top or second option out of that. So you're changing your stave to a no instrument stave, which makes all of the stave lines disappear. You'll feel like whoa, I don't know what's happening in my score anymore because literally everything disappears. Anyway, you'll get used to it, but just try that out. Yeah. So yeah. Lisa did the insert and still couldn't crop. That's strange, Lisa. It should work. Double clicking on it. The other thing you could do if double clicking on the inserted image doesn't work, you could try selecting it and then there's a little crop button in the toolbar of Google Slides if that's what you're in. Should be the same pretty much in Google Docs if you're in there. Susanna got it. Excellent. Yes, great. Jen, you think Noteflight's overwhelming? That's so interesting. Yeah, I'm the opposite, but I came to Noteflight from having learnt Sibelius, so I found it more simplified in a way than using Sibelius because Sibelius is like way overwhelming for new beginners, way overwhelming. Noteflight, no, I don't believe it has the hand signs either. Flat is the only one that I found the hand signs were included. Having said that, with anything that doesn't have the hand signs, you could just, it's a bit more work, but you can make your notation image and then line up pictures of the hand signs underneath. That's what I would have done in the past. Now I know that Flat has it though. That might be something I'll use. I don't honestly need to create notation with hand signs very often, but it's good that it's there. Oh yeah, thanks Martin. That's a good link. PDF. Yep, great. Yeah, Noteflight is awesome and can be integrated into LMS, says Cara. Correct. Oh. Yeah, I agree. Martin's just said about browser-based notation software being a really good option. I really do think it's a good option because students can also start something at school on a school computer and then go home, work on their score on the bus on their phone, because of course they all do that, and then open it up on their iPad, when they get home, and then do it on dad's, Mac as well. It doesn't matter what device they're using; they just log in and see their scores there. I really think it's, I really think it's a good thing to consider. Sound check, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I have not played with it yet. Not played with it yet. Yeah. Martin recommends making a cup of tea. Yep. Always a good first step. Maybe something stronger. Jen's in the States, so it's evening for her. she could have wine, maybe. Definitely. Just take the time. Everything is mysterious and scary until you learn about it. And then you go, it wasn't that bad. Even I have that thought when I need to learn something new, a new software program. You've just got to do it. Seriously, just do it. I often watch a series of YouTube videos first, and then I'll go and actually replicate what I've learned. I just sit there watching them. I put them on my iPad while I'm cooking dinner, no kidding, or cleaning up in the kitchen. We have no dishwasher in our house, unfortunately. So I spend a lot of time watching videos while I'm washing the dishes, and it makes washing the dishes a lot more fun and interesting. So there you go. All right, I'm going to wind up shortly. I feel like the chat window's slowing down, which is a good thing. So keep typing for a minute or two if you want to. And if you've got questions after today, look, one great option if you want to join the Midnight Music community, I'm in there every day and it's direct access to me all the time. So people ask questions and I will give you a video answer most of the time or type an answer out for you for anything that you need to know. Hopefully I can answer it. And yeah, and other than that, you can try and hit me up on places like Facebook or email. Email's not the best option, I'm going to say. I get a lot of emails and it's very difficult to get back to everybody. So made the decision a few years ago that I really had to dedicate most of my time to the community members. But yeah, it's been so lovely. So I will let you all know in some way or another what the topic for the next webinar is going to be. And I may put a poll up in a couple of groups with a few suggestions and see what comes out of it and see what the most popular thing is. So thank you. Thank you, Alexa. Yeah, can't believe you haven't come across my stuff. I cannot believe it either. Oh, that's great. I'm glad. Oh, thank you, Alexa. That's so lovely that it was one of the best webinars. That's really good. Oh, I'm glad you saw it posted in a Facebook group too. I really try, I especially when I'm preparing for a webinar, I don't have time to get back into the Facebook groups and remind people. So it's always really nice when people have found it. Thank you. I'm glad it was good. Oh. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I agree. Alexa said that some presentations get so broad and spread thin that they aren't really helpful. I agree. I like the very specific ones too. And to be honest, the ones before kind of this whole coronavirus thing have been more specific in the past for that reason. Because I'd prefer to do a very detailed hands-on, like this is step by step how to do something, than these are all the general principles, that you can use. So yeah, I had to switch a little bit for this whole time with some more general things about working online and teaching online. So yeah, I definitely will do that. And do let me know if there's any things that you want to suggest. Yeah, Jen likes flat for notation. That's good. Yeah, look, lots of people have chosen flat. I know one teacher, can't remember who it was actually, gave the students the choice, said, look, we're going to test both flat and note flight and we're going to choose whichever one you all choose. And they went with flat. They were older students, like I'm pretty sure it was like year 9, 10 level. So, yep, that's good. Yeah, and Ralph has said finale is what you learnt first. I think if you're like me and you learnt Sibelius or finale way back when, it's very hard to move away from whichever you learnt first. And it's not to say one is better than the other. The discussions get very heated in all the Facebook groups about which one is better. They are just a different flavour. The only people it really matters to, the difference between Sibelius and finale, are the people in the high-level publishing world, which could be composers, arrangers, or publishers. That is where there's the differences, slight differences in nuances and layout and formatting options and so on. And also, I guess, the way you input notes and stuff. But, whatever works, really, whatever works. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for saying I'm cheerful. Lisa's still having trouble? Yeah, I don't know, Lisa. You could, Lisa, one thing you could try, it may not solve it, is to log out of Chrome and shut it down completely. Clear your history, clear your cache, all of those things. Sometimes just quirky things happen, and often that will help. Thank you, Martin. Martin's got to go, I think. So thank you, Martin, so much. Yeah. The elves behind the scenes. Thank goodness for them, Jen. Goodness me. Great. Thank you, everyone. Brilliant as ever, says Liz. That's nice. Thank you. Laura, Laura's asking about the Canva course. If you're already in the MMC, you do not need to sign up for it separately. I'm going to, basically what we're having to do, which is a bit unfortunate, is we've got the Canva course, which is living in one space, and the reason it's living in a separate space is because some people want to purchase the course on its own who may not even be music teachers, and so being a member of the community does not make sense for them. And we tried to get a way for the members of the community to log into that same space. It's not going to work, so we're actually going to replicate the course from there into the community. So that's going to be done in the next couple of days. The first module won't be accessible until the 29th of June. But the course, you'll be able to see it in there, and in a couple of days' time, you'll be able to access some pre-course information. There's going to be a roadmap and like a workbook you can download so you can think about stuff ahead of the course starting, and so on. So yes, you don't need to do anything else if you're already a member of the community. I've actually posted in there, there's an announcements section where I've posted a couple of updates about the course and a little preview video of the types of projects we're going to be creating. So you can go and have a look at that right now. And then I'll do another announcement once everything is ready to look at. Excellent. Yeah, so if you're not a member of the community and you want to access the new course, you can join the community to access the course, or it can be purchased as a standalone thing. Either option is there. Natalie, thank you. Great, thank you. You got flat to work, Lisa. I'm glad I stayed on long enough to see that. Hooray. What was the solution in the end? Now I need to know. Was it restarting Chrome or clearing your history or anything? I don't know why. Sometimes there's just weird, quirky things that happen, I find. So Kristen celebrating with you. Thank you, Jennifer, as well. I'm going to wait and see what you type in. All right, I'll leave the chat window open for a little bit. I'm going to close off some other things here. And there may be a few things that I add to that Wakelet page, that collection of links. I'm so sorry to the YouTube people. I did not check in on you at all. It wasn't as busy in that window, but I know Martin was looking after you. So hopefully everyone's okay over there. Great. Thanks, Laura. Have a great day too. I will see you in the community. And get rid of those windows. Excellent. And I should have said the date for the next, for anyone that's still on, the date for the next live training will be the 15th of July. Same time, I'm pretty sure. Same time for those in the US. And I think it's the same time for here in the Australia too. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Karina. Or Coroner. Correct. Don't know. Either pronunciation. Excellent. All right, I'm going to sign off now, everyone. I will go and check on my dog, see if she's okay. And I will look forward to seeing you at the next one. And inside the Canva course, if you end up joining in with that, or inside the Midnight Music community, if you end up joining in there too. So great. And thank you so much for the intelligent questions. And it's great to see so many people online. All right. See you next time.